Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the June 14th, 2022 meeting of the Hatfield Select Board. It's Flag Day. As usual, I'll open the meeting by reading our public participation policy. The Hatfield Select Board welcomes everyone to its meetings and all other public meetings of the town of Hatfield. All regular and special meetings of the boards and committees of the town of Hatfield shall be open to the public and shall conform to the open meeting law. Executive sessions are closed to the public and will be held only as prescribed by the statutes of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It is important to recognize that the open meeting law, affords the opportunity to listen to the proceedings, but not necessarily participate. During meetings of the Select Board, an attempt will be made to find a balance between hearing from members of the community and conducting the required business of the Hatfield Select Board. We'll, as usual, well, let's just quickly do announcements before we get to public forum. I just want to mention that school is out, so congrats to all of the Hatfield students and teachers who made it through the year. I hope they have a great summer, and everybody should be a little bit more aware that there might be kids riding bikes and running around, and maybe be a little bit more cautious as they're driving. Ed?
Oh, I want to thank everybody for participating in Memorial Day activities, the 350th members and the Legion and everybody that was there. We had a wonderful day. It was nice weather. The school participated and everything went rather nicely. Today is Flag Day, and at 6 o'clock at the Pavilion, they will have the Legion Post retiring our old worn flags, because as you probably are aware, there's a proper method to retire the American flag. So I just wanted to bring up those 2 points, that's all.
And there's a concert in the park Friday night, right? Decades is the 17th?
That's correct. And there's one also Thursday night. Thursday night as well. Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday, a lot of action, so those will be fun. I don't know what the weather is, but hopefully it holds out. Did you have anything, Mr. Moriarty?
I did not, thank
Okay.
you, Madam Chair.
Anything else? You good?
No,
Okay.
it's good. It's summertime. We're
I know, it's good.
moving along, right?
So now let's double back to public forum. Is anyone here for public forum? Did you want to come up to the mic and maybe state your name?
My name is Terry. This is Jeff. We live at 53 West Street, otherwise known as the Yellow House, in front of the town, West Town.
Okay,
Well.
yes, yep, I know which one.
We had there was a discussion on April 19th, your meeting, and our property was within that discussion. We'd like to be able to take a quick, and I know you're busy, so a very quick response to that meeting.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. My asthma's going to give me a hard time here, so bear
Take your
with
time.
me. Okay, we want it to be known that we oppose the selling of town land that has been designated for the protection of the town well. We oppose the building of fire training facility on the town well land that has enormous potential for polluting environmental protection areas, endangering air quality, and putting toxins in the runoff and aquifer. The well land being proposed for the fire training facility is located within a residential neighborhood surrounded by homes. The field gets approximately 40-mile-an-hour winds across it. The easement on the path within our property being proposed for fire trucks and other vehicle use was put in place years ago to strictly allow the water department to maintain the town well. The easement is already being greatly abused by Gilaher Construction, who have ripped down tree limbs, created huge ruts, not to mention storing diesel fuel and vehicles near the environmental protection area in 95-degree weather. The people of West Hatfield are currently under a great deal of anguish and burden dealing with construction issues on West Street. We are requesting currently that if this is the town plan, that the people of West Hatfield be able to voice their concerns and ask questions in a public hearing. We would definitely at this time want it also to be known that we totally support the fire department in their endeavors, but feel there are more remote and safer areas in Hatfield that would create less impact on town well, environmental areas, and residential homes.
Okay. I'm glad you came in and said something. I mean, we don't have this coming up anytime soon,
No,
right?
we don't.
It's on the end of your agenda today,
Well, that's under old business, probably.
The fire,
because it was
the training
discussed.
facility?
Yes,
Correct.
because
Oh,
it was
that was
discussed on
postponed.
4/19.
That's been postponed. The agenda was amended the other day, and that discussion's been postponed.
Yes.
Okay,
Is there a date that would,
July, probably.
But can we make sure that we, sorry, can we
go ahead.
make sure that we
Yeah,
notify
no,
them?
sure,
and
most
maybe
likely
Because
July.
when they came to us, they said they had talked to all the people around and everyone was supportive of
Including
it.
the building
we live right
inspector
there.
is what they said.
No one was contacted in our neighborhood.
And Marlene was notified and told us this many times that someone would get back to us.
Yeah, are you Terry Bartlett?
I am,
Oh, actually, I was just writing an email to you. I haven't finished it. I'll be sending that later this evening. It's a reply. The project engineer went out there a few days ago, addressing your concerns in the email that you had sent me.
On a separate issue.
I
On
was
a
just going to
separate-
say, there's
correct.
two.
There's two separate issues. But I
Hopefully
think,
one of those
did mention
dealers,
that-
the destruction of the easement, hopefully.
Yeah, she did mention the area for the proposed training
so
facility.
can we just make sure that when we have this discussion, that the
Absolutely.
folks
So
out there are
that meeting in
notified?
July, will be July 12th.
Okay.
But I will still notify
Can I
you.
ask if the meeting includes anything already done that we'll be needing to? During that meeting, the fiery representative proposed purchasing the land, the town land, and then selling it back to you at a later date, which, why would we do that with a private entity? I don't understand that.
Nothing, I don't want to speak for you, Marlene, but nothing has transpired.
Okay.
Correct,
what I-
that's correct.
Story short.
Yeah.
And I, like Diana and Ed, understand your concerns, because I think I even mentioned it that night, actually, about, we don't want to move forward yet, because we want to make sure that people in the area have an
Yeah, it
an
was kind of
opportunity
quick.
to.
We
It was
wanted
quick,
some
and it was near,
time.
because
Again,
town
11
meeting,
children
so,
play
yes.
in that
Yes.
yard, so I'm like,
No,
oh my
understandable.
gosh.
A statement was made that there was no or very little wind coming off the field. Well,
Yeah, that was incorrect.
we've been there about 12 years, and I'm going on my 5th time of replacing parts of the roof of my garage west-facing.
Due to winds.
The winds
yeah.
come off that field like no tomorrow.
Horribly, yeah.
So.
I think it needs an in-depth conversation.
I think
Correct.
there's, for a
There will
lot of
be an in-depth
reasons, there
conversation.
needs to be a lot of conversation.
Which is why we didn't move it
Yeah.
forward at that
We'd
time.
just like to be
town meeting.
informed, I think.
Okay, absolutely.
Us and our neighbors, so.
Understood.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'd just
that's
like to
fair.
add, though, for clarity, that topic on the agenda that was scheduled initially and has been postponed, that's sort of
A bigger picture of the department as a
of the
whole,
department,
right.
not just specific to the training
good, good.
facility.
Thank you.
But we can certainly have that discussion.
Well, I would suggest, when we are ready to have that conversation, not only notifying people in the area, but we spell out, like, this is ideas, the plans to proceed with discussions of fire and ambulance department. That was a different topic, but you wouldn't know that.
Right, again,
Right. So
there
we
just
would
seems
need
like
to
there's
spell
so
out.
much better places, down by the river where there's plenty of water, or, I
More
mean, not
remote, I
in,
think.
yeah, not in the residential, in in everyone's backyard. That just seems so dangerous not to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for hearing us.
You're very welcome.
Down. Did anyone else want to step forward?
Hi, my name is Kay Marsh, and I live at 45 West Street, which is a couple doors down. I have been speaking with Terry and Jeff, and I just want to say that I also share concerns, same and similar concerns about taking that site for a fire training facility. My home is a very short distance from that site, and I can tell you that the vehicle noise and smoke that would be coming from that area are not going to be abated by the thin line of trees between that site and my property. And I'm already dealing with that with Gielahers, trucks going in and out of the access road. The sound just carries right over to my backyard. I'm also, my other concern is taking away, it's critical wildlife habitat, that field is. I spend a lot of time there, and I know that, it's an area that's heavily used by all sorts of wildlife, bear, deer, coyotes, turkeys, hawks, birds, just tons of wildlife that is, that habitat is continuing to shrink as the area becomes more densely populated. And I just want to say that it's not just me, my neighbors, I have other neighbors as well who really value the wildlife and value that open land and the purpose that it serves. So I really just would ask that, I'm hoping that the town will look for an alternative site, because there are concerns, and there are concerns not just for me and for Terry, but for others on the street. So I want to make sure that everybody who would have an interest in this would be involved in that conversation.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming down. Anybody else here for public forum? No, okay. So we will get moving into the agenda. Thank you to everybody who was here. So the approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Select Board meeting minutes from May 24th, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No, ma'am.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we have a liquor license hearing at 5:45, but we can maybe move forward on a couple of, well, the next discussions will take a while. How about if do you mind if we skip right to DPW report? Because I think we can do
Yeah,
that
that
probably quickly.
abatement
Phil, are you
we came
okay
up
with
with.
that? Get yours done. We just have a few minutes. We can't start the hearing until 5:45, so. Go ahead, Phil.
So we have a water and sewer abatement, is that where we're going with this to start?
Okay, I mean, this seems pretty straightforward.
Well, let me give you a little history.
Okay,
So I am not recommending this.
Oh,
And the only
okay.
reason I'm saying that is because in the past, we have not given abatements for a leak in anybody's house. We have some pretty strict guidelines to follow, and this doesn't follow under any of that criteria.
okay, well, we do want to be consistent, so.
Right. I mean, I mean, the vast majority, or almost all of them, are defective water meters of some sort, or a misreading, or something, that,
Correct.
or a pool liner is
Pool
replaced, or,
liner.
something.
Something
Something like
totally
that.
out of the ordinary where someone
Right.
didn't know. or-
Right, but there have been many of these, and I guess I would say, unfortunately, for the people requesting them, through the years that I've been on the board before, but to Diana's point, we do need to be consistent, and unfortunately, a leak, unknown or not, isn't something that we entertain from a abatement perspective. That's my feeling on it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to be consistent, so.
Well, so I guess I will, well, I don't know, I'll make a motion that we deny the abatement request for 3 Prospect Street.
What was the motion, Brian?
To
Deny it.
deny the abatement at 3 Prospect Street. And I know there's some other information in there, but the bottom line is it was because of a leak, and
Okay, I'll second that.
that's been our, that's been our process. So,
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
no.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all you had, Phil?
The only other thing is the culvert replacement we're going to do on North Hatfield Road, as you've seen by
Oh,
the
right.
flashing sign. I just want everybody to be aware that tomorrow the road will be closed up there. So all the departments are notified, and we don't know how long, we don't know how big of a project it's going to be. There's a water main right there, so we'll see as we proceed to fix that culvert.
Okay. But information's gotten out to townspeople. I know
Yes.
I've seen it on, okay.
Correct. And the sign's been up there for over a week, so.
Great, well, good luck with it.
We'll see what happens.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks for the information.
Looks like we're pretty close here. Oh, it's 5:46 according to my phone, so
There you
we
go.
can go ahead and get to the liquor license hearing for B&B Restaurant Associates LLC, doing business as The Gathering on Elm Street. So we need to open this hearing. This hearing is scheduled for 5:45 on June 14th here at the Hatfield Town Hall for the purpose of reviewing a liquor license application. Is anyone, so we open it for comments, Marlene?
Yes,
Is anyone here for comments on this liquor license
will
hearing?
be the applicant that's
Yeah.
here.
Hi, welcome. Okay. Did you want to speak to this at all, or?
Well, yeah, we just want to open a Italian-American restaurant, operating hours, so it's going to be from 4 to 9. It's just going to be a restaurant. It's not going to be like a bar or nothing like that. It's going to be very peaceful, like Italian and then American music inside. We're not going to bring any bands or nothing like that. It's going to be a restaurant.
Okay, and this is where, just so people know, this is where Grill and Chill was?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. And it looks like all the license application, all the paperwork, it looks in order.
It is.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any questions?
I don't, I didn't know if you wanted to ask, now that people have heard what the gentleman said as far as what the hearing's
I
about.
want to say thank you to Hatfield.
Yeah.
It's nice to see people opening up
Residents.
businesses in town. So we
Thank you for having
appreciate
us.
you choosing our town. I hope you're successful. I have no problem with the application. Everything appears to be in order.
Agreed.
I was going to save my nice comments for after the vote, so you want to take a vote on this?
Make a motion to grant the license to B&B Restaurant Associates LLC at 127 Elm Street. DBA is The Gathering. And as indicated in the packet that we've received.
I'll second that.
A motion's been made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I'm really glad you're coming.
Well, thank you-
And
thank you so
It's
much
going to
for
be
having
great
us.
to have the business reopened, and a lot of great things going on in Hatfield businesses, so that's really a good sign, right? I think we can all be happy about that, so
Thank you so much.
thank you and good luck. Do you have an idea of when, like a projected opening date? I'm sure people are going to be wanting to know that.
Well, as we were thinking about waiting for the liquor license, but we're probably going to open a month before it comes. That way, the community could come in.
Yep.
We're a big, we believe a lot in the community, giving business to the locals too as well, and we want to hire locals too as well. So we're probably looking towards the end of July,
Good,
if everything goes well.
that's great. Great, well, we'll be watching.
Yeah?
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you and
Thank you.
congratulations. Okay, so topic 2 is board reorganization, which we already did the part of this, but it's also a discussion around liaisons to different departments. So I personally like having liaisons to departments. I know you've said before you're not wacky about it, but I do like having sort of
But you know me, I can
designated-
go with the flow.
You can go with the flow. That's right. I don't know how you feel, Ed. I kind of like having designated departments that we,
Yeah, whatever.
Well, it's fine. I mean, I can understand Brian's point, and on one hand, the department should feel comfortable going to whoever
One of
they
us,
want,
yeah.
whoever's on the board. So,
Well-
and I think they do at times anyway, so I mean,
to say, I don't think having a designated liaison means that you can't go to
No,
other board
it
members.
doesn't preclude anything.
It just, I think as a member of the board, it's nice to have sort of that focus and know that other colleagues are focusing on other departments. It is-
and there has been times since I've been on the board that we have stepped in assisting different departments too, so that's sort of like a liaison, I guess, so.
So that's my 2 cents. I sort of like splitting up our departments and doing it that way.
As I
So
said,
we don't need
just-
to vote that or anything, we just need to make
Right,
those.
if you'd like to, yeah. Just,
Okay. I mean, I
Identify.
think I've had Council on Aging, police, schools. I would like to keep those 3.
You probably have the town administrator, not to speak. for
I
you,
do.
Just simply
Yes.
because of your role as
She does,
chairwoman
yeah.
of the board, so.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with mine as well, unless
You're
Ed or somebody.
DPW, right?
Building inspector, DPW, treasurer collector.
And so that leaves Ed with just ambulance and fire?
That's fine. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
unless Ed
happy-
wants some, I mean, doesn't matter.
I've been attending the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission meetings throughout the years, so I might as well just stay with that.
Good man.
Yes. We'll leave that to you. Those are good meetings. Those are really good meetings.
They are,
but-
I mean, they're very informative.
And I've been doing the Capital Improvement Planning Committee, which I do enjoy that, actually. I enjoy that work. So I'm willing to keep that unless either of you have a burning desire to do capital planning.
No, that's fine. You like it?
And I'll do the Franklin Regional Transportation Authority, FRTA.
Well, there you have it. Creatures of habit, all of us.
all right.
Nobody
we
wants
have
to change anything, so.
We have a plan.
I do want to say that I appreciate the feedback we got from department
good.
heads on this matter, so that, I appreciate that.
Lydia has a question.
Lydia.
Emergency management? I don't see that in here. We don't really have that anymore.
You didn't actually close the hearing, and you didn't ask for public opinion during the hearing,
Which hearing?
the liquor license hearing.
Oh,
Would definitely ask for public appearance.
yeah, we asked for public. I did ask if anyone else was here for that.
But we might not officially
They vote
close
to
it.
grant.
Yeah, we should close it.
Usually it's
Grant the
before
license, they did, okay.
Oh, well, I mean,
anybody's against having a glass of wine with their.
I did ask
You
if
did
anyone
ask.
else was here, if anyone was here to speak to that. So we should close the hearing, you're right. Make a motion to close.
Make a motion to close the hearing then?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
Aye. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
Aye.
All set? Lydia? Okay, okay. So that
Speaking of
takes
Lydia,
care of, oh, yeah. And then we have topic 3 is all our annual
our annual
appointments.
confusing,
My glass of wine with dinner.
Okay, so I looked through this list.
The annual appointments, when you reorganize, on the list of annual appointments, you'll see the boards that you all are usually a representative on. So the simplest, if you have no objections, is to stay Diana Szynal with Capital Improvement Planning Committee.
Yeah.
We
They
just decided
did
that.
Oh, okay,
we kept everything the same as last year.
Yeah,
perfect.
We're learning.
So that's motion one.
that's motion 1. Those our board appointments to those boards is what you're saying?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I did 2 motions. One was if you decided that somebody else wanted to.
Oh,
do
okay.
capital improvement.
Okay, so we just need to make this motion.
But this is about,
This is just
All
the
the
select board appointments, no.
No, this is everybody.
this is
Oh.
everybody.
Okay, well, you just said you need the motion right now. We haven't gotten to the rest of the appointments.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so there's no Marlene Seanberry for capital planning.
Right, and that will come from the Finance Committee.
Right,
The
so we don't
Finance
make
Committee,
that, yeah.
the Finance Committee
make
recommends
that.
their appointee
And then
designate.
the constable, who does not want to be reappointed,
That's in yellow, right?
isn't that the ones we have to deal with, the yellow ones?
No.
Except for the names highlighted in
Right.
yellow.
Oh, except for the names
Mm-hmm.
highlighted.
Highlight,
Okay.
highlighted.
Yep. So if everything's staying the same, go with motion 1. If there's going to be some changes, go with motion 2, correct?
Right.
I'll make a motion that we appoint all those on the 2022 annual appointment list as presented by the town clerk, except for those names highlighted in yellow.
Yes, okay, that's right. I did
Second.
read that. Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say one thing before we vote on it. Thank you, because there's a lot of names and a lot of volunteers in this community, and we appreciate that. And we've also moved it out to now, rather than before the election. You know, we always did it, I think, at the end of April or in beginning of May, and this just makes more sense to me, and at least.
And it's actually better for me too.
Yeah.
Because the office is a little quieter
Yeah.
right now.
Right. And everybody's been elected, so now you can, you
Yeah.
know, you don't have to swap things around.
And it gives
so.
people, there's less activity meeting-wise, so it gives people a little more time to get sworn in,
Right.
so.
Right.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye. Thanks, Lydia.
Yeah, and thank you, Lydia.
Was,
Okay. So now to topic 4, which is what I assume a lot of folks are here for, which is the proposed Connecticut River Trail discussion, and this is in the Elm Court area.
Did we do
Can I
this?
just bring up one item under the appointments? So based on that motion that was voted on, and I wanted to reference it in the list of annual appointments, highlighted is the Hatfield Human Resource Advisory Committee.
Right.
So I think that the board needs to vote separately to
Dissolve it.
dissolve that committee.
Okay.
That committee has not met in, I can't tell you, many
Years.
years. Yeah, years. And actually, my understanding is they were appointed to do a study. But I could be wrong. I wasn't here at the time.
Oh, so then it's been a long time.
They haven't met since I was elected 9 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to dissolve the Hatfield Human Resources Advisory Committee.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
And you mentioned something?
I just didn't know if this was part of Lydia's, Arlene, this larger, for Judy.
Oh, Judy Shell?
Yeah, was
Is
this
that
part-
something?
I kind of wondered,
Because
Is it-
it was in there, I was just including it in your packet.
That's okay.
They did the notifications and everything they're supposed to do under the law.
Yeah.
Get somebody, Judy was on the committee, she was up for reappointment. And so they did everything they were supposed to do, asked for other people to submit applications, Judy was the only one. So now, in that sweep of motion, the motion
That's fine.
for all.
So we took care of this.
I wondered why.
It was separate, so I wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
That's
I
okay.
just wanted to keep it with that,
Okay.
as part of the appointment.
No problem. Thank you for confirming,
Sorry.
clearing that up.
okay.
Good.
So now we can move on to topic 4, which is, I do assume it's what most of you are here to talk about tonight, which is this proposed Connecticut River Trail. Are you here to talk about this in an official, like that sort of what the proposal is? Because I'm not even exactly sure. I'm interested in hearing about it. You're going to need to come up to the microphone.
Rich is with you, too.
Oh, Rich is with you, too.
I have those maps that I gave you last time. Pass them out again.
I'd like to see it again. Do you have enough to let some people look at them?
I didn't really,
Thank you, Mark.
I have a few extra here.
Want to make some copies?
Yeah. You can do it. That would be great. And
Yeah.
These are
You can,
questions that
if people wanted this one for now while I wait. but-
Brad answered some of the questions about the DOT process.
Thank you, Mark.
I guess it was my impression that tonight was the meeting to set up a meeting.
Correct. We're going to talk about scheduling, setting up a public informational meeting.
Should I give it a little background?
I would. It's clear that this is important information to a lot of, I've heard from a lot of townspeople with concerns about this. So let's just maybe lay out what you're exactly talking about, and then we'll schedule a hearing where,
Sure. This all started maybe even 10 years or so ago.
12 years ago.
There was some conservation land owned by Valley Land Fund, and there was a bit of a land swap, I guess, with the town of Northampton. And basically created this potential corridor for a path into Northampton. And, pretty much that's been town of Hatfield's involvement up to now. And, in Northampton, Wayne Fiden, the planning director, who's going to be ex-planning director as of the end of this month, as he, I think, has done with a lot of these rail trail projects, got a lot of, did all the legwork, basically, to, plan this, what he's referring to as a multi-use trail that goes along, starts at Damon Road. Well, it's actually going to start where they're doing construction Damon Road. There's going to be a wider sidewalk right kind of at the bridge where 91 comes over.
Like where that yellow house is?
On this side of the bridge, on the River Run side of the bridge, River Run
Okay.
condos. So the bike trail basically come from there, up River Run Road. I don't know if the name of that road is, and parallel the train tracks and exit at Elm Court right by the trestle. It's about 1.25 miles maybe. Of that amount, probably a quarter mile is in Hatfield.
Not even, yeah. Maybe,
And then what happens? So it comes to Elm Court, and then what happens?
It exits, end of
So
trail.
there's so people have to go down Elm Court, or
Exactly.
turn around and go back down the bike path.
Right. And so the use of it, I guess, is what people are concerned about, and, it's hard to know what that is. But the idea is that bicyclists have an access into Northampton and vice versa. And there's, it's also available for walking, and it's multi-use. The grade is such that, anyone with any, wheelchair, whatever, can access the trail. And so right now, I guess the latest I got was an email from Wayne back in May. And so there's this preliminary review process by the Mass DOT, which I think apparently is the funder of any of these larger trail projects. So they gave it a preliminary okay, which just means it's in the pipeline. And so if it proceeds, funding is probably about 5 years off. But in the interim, Northampton is going for a trail grant, a Mass Trail grant, which would get them funding to get to the 10% planning stage, which is where they need to get to go any further with the Mass DOT. So that's kind of where it stands now. And we, the way that we left it, I believe with Wayne, and Marlene, you can correct me with this, but was to set up a community meeting, and we would get folks from, some from Northampton office in there, because they really have a lot of details. We do have some pretty, I guess, concept drawings, that show exactly the path, but, not a whole lot more than that.
So, there's a lot of, I've talked to some people from Elm Court, from Elm Street, who have a lot of questions, good questions, questions I have myself. And I don't think it probably makes sense to get into the discussion tonight if we're going to hold a more formal discussion about it. But to me, I think we need to get as much information to people as possible before the hearing so that we know what it's going to look like. I mean, it seems odd to just have this bike path that just ends and then they just spill out onto this residential street in Hatfield. So I would like a little bit more information, better maps. Like, this is kind of hard to read. Doesn't really, something better than this for residents. And maybe even this, this question and answer email from Wayne, excuse me. People have a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, and they're valid. So let's make sure they have enough information to even know what the scope of this project is and ask the questions that really need to be asked.
Well, and I think, Mark, we went not back and forth, but we had some questions the last time you were in when we talked about this, and you were able to address most of them. But and I'm sure this is what Diane has heard. I've heard it as well. It's not so much the path. When people are on the path, that's fine. It's getting on and getting off. And that was one of the questions we talked a little bit about, whether it's parking. We talk about it starting in Northampton, but it could start in Hatfield and go the other way, right? So where are people going to park and things like that? And we've got the neighbors on that street. And
Yeah,
of course, that part of Elm Street that just have some concerns about, and those, to your point, Diane, I think those are some of the things that before we actually have a hearing, somebody should have those answers as to
Yep.
what the.
So that people, yeah.
Yeah, so people have an idea.
I mean, like, for instance, the parking question, it says on
Yeah.
here that typically Mass DOT wants some parking, although if on-street parking is legal on Elm Court, that can be sufficient. I'm sure that's of concern to residents out there, would be if I lived out there. So, so let's get as much information as possible about the actual proposed project so that people know exactly what to ask. And
Right, and it may be that, I don't disagree at all. It may be that when we meet in Northampton, that they don't have the answers and we're sort of to be continued and they have to come up with the answers. Because I think at this concept stage, some of these details they purposely don't get into because they don't know how far it's going to go.
Right.
But I think they're, at that stage where, as you said, we need to get some.
I think if
more
people are
concrete.
concerned, they need to get that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other unknown is, whether you're for or against it, you really don't know how popular something like this would be.
Right.
It could be very popular, it could be not that popular, which would, mean more or less people there, but, so.
Well, the other problem is, 12 years ago, it came in front of a previous board, and it sounded like they were sort of in agree with going ahead with this, but it's been 12 years. Things have changed, people, I don't recall of actual hearing on what everybody considered about this project. And I think that's important to get residents' inputs on whether they feel this is something that they want or they don't want, because that's important to this town.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I don't think when that land transfer or swap happened, the trail specifically did not come up. That just allowed Northampton to kind of in the background start planning this.
Right.
I don't recall that we specifically talked with with the selectmen at that point about this.
Well, maybe that person from Northampton can come to the hearing and,
Well, yeah, it's
and we
basically
can
right.
all discuss it together and get input from everybody.
Right.
I mean, we have maps, and I think at the last select board meeting we were at, we did give you all a map of the total route. So we have a pretty good idea of what the path of the trail will be. The Northampton got a grant to fund what they call a 5% design. So they did have an engineering firm come out and flag a proposed route. So they have that on a map and on an aerial view. So anyone in Hatfield, residents or whatever, can know what exactly the route is. As far as parking goes, I think that's an open question, and it's really up to the town and the residents to decide how much parking to provide and where that should be. If that should be on-street parking or whether it should be on the Hatfield property that's on the end of Elm Court. Because Hatfield owns a large, I'm not sure what the acreage is of that parcel. It's something like 5 acres at the end of Elm Court. And that could be a possibility for parking if street parking is not desirable. And we can also limit the number of parking spaces to really whatever the town wants. So we have a lot of control, at least from what I heard from Wayne. The DOT will fund the project, but it's really up to the town, and whoever the designer would be is the town, and Northampton and the town of Hatfield would hire a designer for this project. And we would be the driver in terms of what we would want for parking and how people would access that trail and egress that trail, so.
Yeah, again, all of that is information that needs to be presented as thoroughly as possible when we do decide to have a hearing.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is there's just that unknown, right, of how popular it may or may not be. But I can certainly understand the residents of that street, all of a sudden, potentially, all these cars are coming down and parking, or even if there's a parking lot at the end. It just changes the dynamic of what the residents are used to.
So,
the easiest street to pull out of either, back onto Elm near 91. So, I mean, so you're adding that more traffic. It's just, those are the questions that people are going to ask.
Right, it will be
and should ask.
big change
Yeah,
to the
right,
amount
the
of people
residents, yeah.
on the street, the amount of traffic on the street, whether it's bicycles or cars. So I think it's, this is something we need to consider.
Could I ask
Very-
another question?
Sure.
So as long as the DPW director's here, so, I mean, I know we're doing some work down there ourselves for storage and things like that. I don't know, Phil, if you have, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but if you have an opinion or not about the space and whether you think it may or may not be conducive to parking or cars or...
As you said, I mean, this is, preliminary stages, so when it comes to comments, I'm sure we're going to weigh in on it, because we are going to start utilizing that property down there, as you know, we just passed that town meeting for some storage, so we will have comments to put on this project.
Is the acres you're talking about, Mark? I've never been down quite that far, to be perfectly honest with you. So is it wooded? Is it open? Is it what?
A lot of it's used as well, Phil knows, it's a yard.
Yeah, so that's kind of my...
It's got a lot of storage of soil material.
Right.
I don't know, correct me, Phil, there's some, are there stumps there or trees there, or no?
We removed the trees to utilize the property, we're going to fence that property in along Elm Court, but, it's a flat area, then it drops off in the back there, so, it's wooded towards the rear part of that property.
I think it's important that we don't move forward with this project until we hear from everybody, because maybe the residents in town don't want this, and they feel this is a bad thing. Maybe residents want this. So I think that's important to have that hearing, present everything, and hear what everybody has to say.
so we'll, I hear you loud and clear, so we'll contact Northampton and try to set up some times. I'm not sure the process of contacting all the neighbors and all that, so.
Yeah. So Rich and Mark, I was going to suggest that maybe it would be helpful, any additional maps or information that Northampton's able to provide us with, we could post on the town's website and make that available, accessible to the residents.
So should I get in touch with you in terms of proposed meeting times? How do you want to do that?
I would say maybe August.
Yeah.
We have other things on July already,
We
right?
do, yeah.
I mean, I think that this will be a lengthy
be its own,
discussion.
right.
I think that there's a lot of people
Separate
here who
meeting.
probably want to be heard about this, and we want to make sure we give them time to do that. So I would suggest we schedule it for our August meeting. Jeff, do you have something?
Yeah, this map was a proposed map from, you said, 12 years ago.
No, the couple of those parcels were, the town transferred to Northampton, and Northampton transferred some parcels back to Hatfield. That map was not done then. The trail map is fairly
But
recent.
there's been talk about this for the last 12 years.
I think there might have been
Really?
sort of a brief discussion with Wayne Fide in Northampton, and ended discussion, and he just sort of did everything from there.
Well, I just don't see this stopping here. I'd like to know what the thoughts are from this point on as well.
Yeah, so Jeff, that's a good question. I think that's, I don't want to get it,
This has been in the works. It has been talked about, as we discussed here, for several years, for the sake of, for a term, how long. What else is involved in this? The other thing is I don't see, I'd like to know what the benefits are of this to the taxpayers of Hatfield, because all I've learned tonight is it's gonna cost us money,
so Jeff,
with zero revenue
Jeff.
in return.
Jeff, I don't want to get into all of that tonight, because we're going to have a meeting dedicated to that. So those are good questions,
These
and
are
I hope,
questions, this is information I would like to have presented for the next
I
meeting.
agree. So, and that's exactly what I mean. This should be as thorough as possible. I agree.
Right, this is
But
the
I just don't want to open this into a
No,
huge
this is
discussion.
the
Okay,
information that we're gonna be looking
Right.
for at the next meeting.
right.
This was proposed about you see the date on the map is 2011. It was proposed at that time to the Board of Selectmen as a concept. Since that time, it's kind of just sat there. Nothing's happened because it's expensive to build this thing, and there was no funding for it, and there was no, there was no way to actually make it happen, because there's a lot, 95% of this trail's in Northampton, 5% of it is in Hatfield. If it's going to happen, a lot has to happen in Northampton as well to make sure this happens. So just recently, it was just last fall that we were notified by Wayne Fiden of Northampton that they have a possibility of getting a design grant for it. And that's really where it is, Jeff. It's at the 5% stage. Hatfield hasn't really contributed anything, and I think he told me that the Northampton would be actually funding the lion's share of the design of this. Hatfield would have to provide what they call a right-of-way through their property. But these are kind of technical questions that I think can be answered by a person who really knows the process.
Let's have the hearing and
Yeah,
get this.
yeah. Do you have something? Sure, go ahead, George.
Don't forget, we just appropriated a large sum of money to put a building on that property.
I agree. And so now I'm not sure we want a bunch of people having access to the back of that property. So I agree.
I think the building should be, at least the building should be considered in terms of its siting with the bike trail in mind, so that if it is sited on there, that there are allowances, if need be in the future, that it can be built.
Okay, so we're all in agreement that we're going to have the actual big meeting about this, where people will have an opportunity to, let everyone know their concerns or their questions in August. And our meeting is August.
Well, we want to have a
we have a
separate
separate
meeting?
meeting?
for
Oh,
it,
maybe
just for this,
a
maybe
separate meeting, 'cause-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Okay.
Diana, do you think that August is good in terms of people being away for the summer? And, if you want to get them...
Well, is there a time frame on any of this, Mark, at this
No,
point?
So we could do it in,
Or
you're
September?
saying September,
Yeah,
when
there's
more
no
people.
deadline.
I definitely want to make sure that everybody who wants to come can
Right.
come, and you're right,
So
August
the
is
fall.
that big.
Yeah.
I'd be happy, I'd be
Yeah,
fine
the-
with putting it off to September.
They're going for the Mass Trails Grant. They're saying they'll apply it in February, so
So there's time.
there's time. Plus,
Okay.
Northampton, Wayne Fiden's leading, so they have a changeover, so they probably wouldn't mind going into the fall
Little extra
themselves.
Perhaps, if you don't mind, you could work with Northampton to come up with a date or two, and then let Marlene know, and that's when we'll schedule.
September,
September.
October, September.
Yeah.
Is that good? You do mind doing that?
Fine with me.
Okay.
Did you have a pardon me?
Can we get a larger room?
Sure.
I think it would be better,
Okay.
and get notification.
Oh, yeah, we'll make sure that there's notification out. Go ahead.
I just wanted to suggest, because I'm assuming this is coming up because of some sort of funding, but I haven't heard anything clear about that. But for that meeting, I think it's important to say, like, yes, there's a grant for this amount, and yes, this is gonna be the town's part, you know what I mean? Like that other gentleman was talking about. Like, is it costing us any money, or is it costing us a little money, or a whole lot of money, you know?
Right.
Yep, that's on the list of important questions.
Well, we do know that the construction is funded by the state. And the design, which would be a consultant, an engineering firm, is supposed to be taken care of by the municipalities. But Northampton has pretty much told us that they're going to take the major lion's share of the cost of design. And that the Hatfield contribution may be, as I said, the right-of-ways, figuring out and granting the right-of-ways through the Hatfield parcel, through which the bike trail will pass. And that's about 250 yards or so of property.
Jeff's question is a good one, though, because is this just a phase in, like, does this mean that now they'll be proposing like bike trails, bike lanes down Elm, or where it goes
Whately
from
or
there,
whatever.
because it's,
It's not, I mean, we are the ones who are proposing this. It's not some outside entity. If Hatfield wants it, they can vote to do it, or they can vote to not do it.
well, but I'm saying,
There's been no-
Northampton clearly has a plan.
Northampton is not going to get any plan implemented without they won't even get this plan implemented without the support of Hatfield, its community. If they
That's why we have the hearing to find out if there's support or no support. So that's the first step.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay,
But there's no, I mean, the Open Space Committee has kind of been the intermediary between Northampton for this project. There's no other plan that we have to extend this trail through any other part of Hatfield.
Right.
I think that our concept is it would connect the town of Hatfield in a recreational way through bicycles and walking to the larger rail trail that goes all the way through Hadley and everything else. That's why I hope that the town feels that there is enough benefit to outweigh, whatever detriment there is to that. But it would connect us in a recreational way through bicycling and walking to the whole recreational trail that is in Hatfield, Hadley, East Hampton, Southampton.
Yeah, I would say I think Northampton's motivation is just that they've had a plan to just make bicycle and, multi-use access throughout the city. I mean, they've got bike trails going to East Hampton.
that's clear, I understand.
And just even
that.
on Damon Road and King Street have been down there, they're just doing a lot of bike and pedestrian access. So I think that's just their motivation, just another, pedestrian bike route to another town. And I think, anything that happens after us is totally in our, the town, if the town wants something. But there's nothing that we're aware of that beyond what's been proposed with the bike trail.
Okay, well, we'll get a date, and we'll make sure that we put out a lot of information about when this hearing will be. And I do think it makes sense to have it just dedicated for this one topic, because clearly it's on a lot of people's minds. So we want to make sure everybody has plenty of time to voice their concerns or opinions. Okay.
Ready?
Thanks, Rich.
Very
Thanks, Mark.
much. Thanks, everybody, for coming down. Town adminis, are you sticking around, Anna? Oh, okay. We did, during, I have something in my car for you. All right, maybe I'll swing by and just throw it in the mailbox. Okay.
Anna's playing at the concert, I want to know.
Who? Anna?
Anna's playing, I have never seen her perform.
I thought it was you, Jeffy. Thought it was you. Thank you for coming. So we are already at your report, Marlene.
Okay, just some quick items here. The MassWorks grant, that's funding $2 million of the Route 5 project. We've expended to date $1,582,849. And at this point, I still anticipate spending down the balance of $417,151 by June 30th. I have reached out to Michael, the engineer, and Phil, that if we do anticipate a delay spending that balance, I need to know that as soon as possible, because I need to submit a written request to the state to read.
So it doesn't look like a lot's going on out there. Are we moving along, or what's happening, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, we're going across the road to the pump station.
Can you come to the mic, just because I think it's going to be easier for the recording?
Stretch that hip out.
Yeah. Making a move around.
Slalom.
So as you know, we've ran into some unstable soils down there, so they stopped going north. So they have relocated to the southerly side of the project and are crossing West Street to put the connection into where the easement for the pump station is. That's where they're working now. Then it's my understanding that they're going to either construct, he's trying to get 2 crews here, that's what he's trying to do. So he wants to construct what he has for the pump station and move to the northerly portion of the roadway to continue the sewer from just past the cemetery north to where it comes off the street. So he can get that at least stabilized before the main patch, then come back to where the unstable soil is and come up with a plan.
Can you explain, Phil, what that means, unstable soil?
Ran into some very, very, how can I say it, unstable clay. And it's so deep with all the water that it's not holding. Nothing's holding there, nothing. It just keeps collapsing. So, he tried to, put the shoring box in the trench and tried to stone the bottom, but the stone is dissipating right into the clay. So he can't stabilize it. I mean, there's some products out there as far as like plastic matting the bottom of the trench, and there's some options out there. So I don't know. They're trying to come up with the best way forward in that section, and they really don't know how far it goes. I don't think it goes that far because they did a bunch of test boring down there. So, and as far as they have the well points drilled, but the water table is just so high now. Hopefully, with the summer weather conditions coming up, that it'll dry out a little bit, at least to get the pipe in.
So they have stuff on the other end that they still have to do, right?
They still have to go, like I said, just north of the cemetery. The pipe goes in the way, in the southbound roadway, then it shoots off of the roadway. So once he gets off of that portion, plus he still has some that 12-inch water main to continue up that way from US Way waist up. So that has to be done as well. But he's moving, but it's just so wet there, just so wet. But like I said today, he was in the easement property with the excavator putting the pipe in, so.
Okay.
Well, yeah, as soon as you're able to let me know if you think there may be a
I think, I'm
delay.
sure that, the engineering firm in Gaylord, the contractor, is putting together some sort of invoices, I'm hoping. I mean, that was my understanding from Mike.
Well, they have done some work,
Yeah,
so.
because he surely knows that, the time is ticking here for the MassWorks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's 2.5 weeks.
But I'll contact him. I know he was up here last week a couple times, so I'll contact him and see where we're at. I mean, I'm sure there's some invoices for the pump station that we can tag on there, so.
All right. Thanks, Phil.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question and a request. So, the same thing has been happening the last
Can you just
month.
tell me who?
Craig Stevens, I live at 33 West Street.
Okay,
So the
sorry.
same thing after these 2 meetings that we had about this, the same thing has happened. Not being informed, driveway cut off for the whole day, the flooding of my driveway again. I've talked to Gary, Mike O, I've talked to the guys at Gallagher multiple times. So that's all just happened again and again and again. But now the whole road is being dug up all day long with this thing that wasn't supposed to happen. None of us were told about this change because of that unstable soil. And now we have the whole road dug up. So all night long, all of my neighbors and I are just sick of this trucks going up and down this uneven pavement. It's construction, we get it. It's happening all day, but we have to listen to that all night long. So now this project, I don't know how long it's gonna take. I'm requesting to please, the first, I think it's 300 feet or yards, whatever it is, up to where this unstable soil is, if it can at least be paved over, and not wait for the end of the project and then 2 months for it to settle, like was told during the last meeting by Ryan from Gallagher. It's just, how much are we supposed to take? It's just constant, it's all day long and all night again.
Seems like a fair request. Phil, can you speak to Gary?
I'll talk to Gary.
From Mike, right?
Yeah.
So talk to those guys and we appreciate
Right,
your
you guys have been patient.
patience.
We understand this is not easy.
But I don't, no engineer, I don't think that's an unreasonable request, though, is how can we mitigate the noise once they figure out the clay, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have a discussion with Gary and Mike about that.
Yeah, and make sure Gary, please, if he, and I know there's a lot of residents, but we need to make sure Gary's notifying whatever area wherever we're
Gary,
in.
the liaison that we were told, because that's the one I told about the
Yes.
flood.
Yes.
I sent
Gary
him all the
Gerard.
pictures, and I gotta tell you, I didn't hear, I had to call the town to get anything done. That was 2 weeks later,
Yeah.
just to let you know.
Thank you,
So,
thank you.
Whatever you
So,
gotta do,
Yeah,
please do it.
well, we will take care of it, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that is what we need to,
I'll reach out to Mike. I'll reach out to
Yeah.
Mike and tell him that, there has to be better communication between Gary and the residents.
well, I think the whole thing, it's got to be better communication. And if assumptions are being made by our engineering firm or the construction firm, they can't assume anything because, just, I remember that conversation. We will knock on the door, or we will leave something that says we're going to be here tomorrow or in 2 days. We're expecting, things can change. But I remember that conversation. They were all sitting over here. And that's our expectation, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what, you mentioned driveway flooding and what the cause of that is, and if there's
Right.
anything we can do to make sure that he doesn't have to, experience
It's all,
that.
since day one, it's been about communication. I mean, really,
Right.
it's frustrating. And I can only imagine what the people
I
are
know.
going through that live out that way.
We do
but I mean,
appreciate your
it's-
patience and,
Yeah, and
no,
I just want to say that I have a landscape business, that I work with this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm this whining neighbor, I really am not, I get it, but it's just so over the top.
Right.
I don't have time to deal with this crap in my yard, you know what I mean? It's outrageous.
Yeah.
So anyway, that if the tarring gets done, that'll at least give us some reprieve instead of another 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months of that all night.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if that can be done, but
Something,
let's
but-
have
Yeah,
some
but we can ask the
communication.
question.
I mean, that's going to be a Mass DOT, what they're saying, They might say you got to put in a temp path, they might say you might
Right.
have to, we don't know.
And it's not an excuse, but it is a state highway, so we've got that added
Are at that,
Sure, it's just a request.
thing, but yeah.
Pleading request.
we understand. Okay, Phil,
Thanks,
thanks
Phil.
for that.
Yeah.
Okay, Marlene, are you ready
Did
to,
that answer your?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
are you ready to take up the fuel bids?
Yes, so at previous meeting, the select board authorized me to commit to the Franklin Regional Council of Governments, once the fuel bids were received. And I received them on June 6th and consulted with Garrett Berry, Highway Supervisor. And so what you have before you are the commitment for gasoline, heating oil, and diesel fuel. So the town has continued to use Dennis K. Burke over the years, and will continue to use Dennis Burke for the gasoline. But I just wanted to share with you, so Garrett estimated about 10,000 gallons for the year, and the price will be $4.505 per gallon for gasoline. Heating oil, we're committing 4,500 gallons at a rate, I should say, a price per gallon of 4.44. Diesel fuel, the commitment is 10,000 gallons, and the price is 4.835 per gallon.
Man, we hit that one right, those three.
Yeah, I mean,
Given what the price is
I
today.
understand they're ridiculously high, but they're still not as high as like what we're all paying
Consumer, right.
ourselves.
Yeah,
Right.
Good job.
So
So that will be for fiscal year '23.
whoever thought we'd be happy to see prices like that? Good grief.
Only $4.50 a gallon.
I know. Woo, what a bargain. 485. All right, so that's great. So, but we don't have to take any action. That was just for
No, that
our
was just for informational purposes to,
And
let
then
you know.
we have to do the pay rates.
The pay rates, yes.
And then we also have this vacancy here,
Under,
Open Space
vacancy?
Committee. We don't have to do anything
oh,
with that right
yes,
now?
a vote to accept the resignation
Oh,
from
okay.
Jim Kroll.
Yep. We should do that.
See ya.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
So if you'd like to take that up, I mean, that's.
Yep,
yeah,
we
and
can
then
do that.
We can discuss the pay rates. There were a number of employee
Can we
forms.
just take this up and get this
Sure.
done? So
Yeah.
can I have a motion to accept this resignation?
Motion to accept the resignation from Jim Kroll from the Open Space Committee.
Second.
Motion made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, so there's an opening then, is what we need to let people know, right?
Vacancy on
A
open
vacancy.
space, correct.
Were there other vacancies on that?
Open space,
well?
no. Not that I'm aware of.
So if anybody's interested in the Open Space Committee, you can go see the town clerk or let Marlene know and send a letter if you would of interest. Actually, I think both Rich and Mark are on Open Space, right?
They are.
That were here earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we could get to the
Did we
pay
vote on it?
rates.
I don't remember.
Is that door closed?
Noisy out there, okay.
I don't think we can
Somebody was
close it,
throwing
can't we?
stuff.
Don't we have to open
It's
that?
unlocked.
Oh, it's unlocked.
I think we're good. So the pay rates, is that
The
what
pay
we're-
rates for FY '23 have been set. So at town meeting, what we vote is, what is voted is to, set the salaries, vote the wages, salaries, and expenses for all the operating budgets. This is the actual hourly
Breakdown.
rate or salaries, and this does include the 3% COLA that was authorized.
So just for people at home, so this is basically just setting the pay rate for town employees that was already voted upon by both the Finance Committee, the Select Board, brought forward to town meeting, voted upon, approved, and then we're just now, like you said, Marlene, that was per department, and now we're doing the salary within, for the employees within each of those departments. Did
Correct. Correct.
I basically just said what you said, but I just wanted to.
Right, so
in case
all
there
of
were any
these
questions.
salaries were already voted at town meeting.
Right, okay. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year '23 departmental pay rates as presented.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion? I just would add, some of these are really low. Like,
Yes.
still really, really low, and we need to address that.
I agree. As I was going through it, I was like, we still need to address some of these
Yes.
rates of
We
pay.
do indeed.
We do.
Yeah. Yeah. And in all honesty, these are people that have been in these positions for
Some of them
a
are, and
number
they're
of
also, positions that townspeople rely on heavily, that
That's right.
department heads and boards and committees rely on heavily, and, if we want to retain employees,
That's exactly,
we
yeah.
need to have more competitive wages. I mean, I think some are good,
Yeah.
but some are not, and we need to address it.
Yeah,
Not tonight, but we need to address it.
yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
So.
Okay, and then the last item, Marlene, is the vacation carryover.
So I was going to say, I can take it up under unanticipated new business. What, came before me late was a request for vacation carryover and then some employee forms where either, the position, the rates have been adjusted. And, this is for payroll purposes, so they can't wait. So that's why I say it's
But we don't vote
unanticipated.
those, right? Those just,
You vote to approve these, yes, and sign them.
okay.
Yeah. The vacation carryover request is from the treasurer collector, and I spoke to her earlier. This is, the reason she hasn't been able to use that time is due to the absence of having an assistant
Yeah, I
in
have
her
no problem with
office.
her carryover at all. I don't have a problem.
And she will be using it in July.
It's not a lengthy.
No, I think we've been pretty consistent and pretty fair, given the circumstances of still coming out of COVID for our employees. But we also like to, as Ed likes to say, I don't want to speak for him, but we want to reiterate that that's why people get vacation time, is to take vacation and clear your mind. And I was just on vacation last week, and it was great. So I would encourage
We
our...
wouldn't know, right, Ed? We weren't on
I would
vacation
encourage
last
our employees, and I know sometimes it's difficult because we have a lot of small departments and a lot of people can't be out at the same time, but you got to try to squeeze the time, take long weekends, something to try to use up some of that additional time.
I mean, I think this particular request is very reasonable.
Yeah.
So I
agree.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to honor the request from
Second.
Karen.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then you want to just, those pay rate things that are in there, we don't have to, do we go through them individually, or can we just blanket?
You can just take them all up at once, one time. So these are for the DPW. They are temporary seasonal employees, which we typically do every year.
Right.
So we have one for Robert Cernak, one for Chance Boyle, and Robert is returning. He's worked previously for the town, so he steps up an hourly rate pay. And one is for a custodian, actually, that rate needed to be looked at.
Okay.
So Phil is recommending to increase the custodian's rate of pay. The other,
That wasn't part of all of this, the regular pay rate?
that actually was not part of what you
Okay.
just voted,
Okay.
yes. This is in addition to that.
Well, he does a great job. so-
Yes, and it goes back to your point of trying
Yes.
to,
And there should be one for, I don't have it here, but it should be in the signature folder, for the DPW administrative, part-time administrative position. That's effective July 1. So that should be in the packet.
yep, it's there.
But I think it is in there.
It's in there.
Okay.
It's in there, yep.
It's in there.
So we just need a motion on those.
Make a motion to approve the wage and salary rate adjustment
Second.
as presented.
Okay.
Motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
No.
And there is one for
All those in
the,
favor? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. There's another one.
For the assistant treasurer collector. Is that in there?
I didn't think I saw that.
Yes,
Oh,
there's,
okay.
It
It
is?
was in the
I
pile
just-
that
I signed it.
I left for you today.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So do we have any information on that new position? The assistant treasurer collector, who it is?
So this is Tammy
Yeah, it
Wendelowski.
says right on there, Tammy.
Yeah,
That's right.
but do we have any information from that office about that a hire was made and who it was and what their background is or anything like that?
Well,
I
we
mean,
don't have it on other positions that are in there, so.
Yeah, and it's possible in the past, the treasurer
Except we
collector
appoint them.
presented it. Right, so it is an
Difference.
appointment. It is,
I mean, we're not asking for details on the person hired for the DPW position.
I think, no.
the assistant treasurer collector actually is appointed by the select board pursuant to Mass General Law.
Right, no, I understand
we
that,
need to know
but
who
we
we're
also
appointing.
oversee the DPW, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. I mean, no, it would be
Agree to
nice, I
disagree.
agree. No, that's fine, I'm fine with getting information, I just, we didn't get it on other positions.
So here's all I would say to that. When a new manager, if you will, assistant clerk treasurer in this instance, and there's been times at the schools in the past, I just think the Board of Selectmen should be made aware of who's being hired at certain levels of management or within certain departments. I mean,
Right.
if the hiring authority knows, then just say, hey, by the way, this person's been hired. I mean,
to
we
me,
find
it
out, we
doesn't
get all that
matter.
information when we make appointments to all these other committees where people aren't even compensated. We get resumes, the police always send a resume when we're making appointments, and I got nothing. I heard about it today.
Right, but
So I find
but
that
to
a
your
little,
point,
you
we
know.
also got nothing on the DPW position, so.
But
Same
what-
thing, I'd like to know what the qualifications are. I mean, I know what the qualifications are because I know who the person is, but it's the
I
same
totally-
thing.
Well, again, we see it differently.
Okay.
No, I do understand with
If they're
brand new
all under
hires
the
and the
purview of
board
the
being
select board.
notified, yeah.
But we don't appoint every position in town, Diana. We do appoint this position. We might approve the other positions, but we actually appoint
I see
this
what you're saying,
position.
yeah.
Okay,
That's the difference.
fair, but I'd like it on everybody.
That's fine. I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just find it a courtesy thing, quite frankly. That's about it. But,
Okay.
You're right.
So that was the last agenda item. We're having, our next meeting is July 12th, right?
Right,
And then we have one August 9th.
right.
July 12th and August 9th, okay.
But we do have topics 7 and 8.
Oh, we
On the
do?
agenda, yeah, and those are real
Try
quick. Those are just appointments as well.
Okay, go ahead.
But it was put under continued old business because
Oh.
it is continued old business.
Okay,
So we have the comprehensive, or formerly known as the master plan, committee appointments. Housing Authority and Council on Aging have notified us of their representatives, and those should be in your packet. I don't see, well, anyway, Housing Authority, it is going to be, Council on Aging is going to be Sean Robinson. And
yeah, I didn't have anything in my
is-
packet.
seeing that, to be honest with you.
Brenna had sent an email, and
Maybe it was to Gerard, I didn't see it.
Yeah, there was nothing in the packet about these
I have just
appointments.
topic 6, that's it.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I thought we were
in
done.
our packets.
I thought it was just regular old business listed on there.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's okay, you can just say them.
Yeah, I mean, if you know who it is, we can do
Yeah,
it.
Housing Authority, I know Brenna sent an email indicating who that individual would be.
Did you
All right.
send it to Gerard?
So why
Because
don't
I know
we-
He was working with her on that.
No, I don't think it was sent to Gerard.
Well, we can
We
make,
can postpone this to July.
We
okay.
can do all of them except that one, if you have
Yeah,
the
we
names.
could do that, too.
Yeah, sure.
So
So
then we
Sean
would be
Robinson-
appointing Sean to the
Robinson.
Comprehensive Plan Committee.
So
wanna make-
moved.
Okay.
You have to make a second. He moved appointing Sean Robinson to the
Yeah,
Comprehensive.
Sorry.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
Aye. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
I am all out of whack tonight, okay. And then the
And
Celebration Committee appointments?
You have those individuals there listed, Bobby
Okay, so
Betzel,
we're- yep.
Tim Pachork for 1 year, Anna Holhut, Diane Barstow for 2 years, and Kathleen Wyckoff for 3 years.
Good
I'll make
committee.
that motion for those
And I'll
appointments.
second that for those
A motion
positions
made and
as
second. Any further
as stated.
discussion? Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, I didn't have paperwork on that stuff, but that's fine.
Okay.
So we'll
Sorry
just need to
about
come
that.
back and hit the Housing
Yeah.
Authority rep next
Yep,
meeting.
We'll do that next
Okay.
time.
Okay, now we're done.
Anything else, Marlene?
We are
While
done.
you have us? I mean, we're
That's
not going
it.
to see you for 4
know.
weeks.
We'll be in.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I don't mean to, motion made and second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Need this?
Yes,
Thank you,
John,
Phil.
thank you, Karen.
Thank